Before we start modeling our project, we need to understand how we edit elements in ArchiCAD. And one of the great things about ArchiCAD is that it stays pretty consistent on the way you do things. So for instance, the same way you do a line is how you're going to do a wall. The same way you do a polyline is how you're going to do a slab. So if you know how to do one, you should be fine doing the other. When you're drawing elements in ArchiCAD, one thing you're going to notice is this blue text here following the cursor with a distance and an angle. And this is called tracker. To access the tracker, you press the tab key and you jump into distance. If I press the tab key again, I jump into angle. And if I keep pressing the tab, ArchiCAD is going to show me the X, Y, and Z coordinate in relation to the starting point of the wall. So for instance, if I type here 3 meters, I should do a 3 meters wall. Another way to access the tracker is by typing the first letter of the field. So if I type D, I jump into distance. If I type A, I jump into angle. So again, I'm going to type D and then type 3 meters and I draw a 3 meters wall there. If you don't have the tracker in your screen, it's probably because you have this button here off. So here you can show or hide the tracker. So make sure you have it always on. Another tool we're going to use a lot is the path palette. And the path palette only appears when you select one element and click on it again. So the path palette is this guy over here, where I have the option to drag, rotate, mirror, elevate, or multiply one element. And in this case, the option to stretch the wall. So here I can stretch in and out this wall by a distance. So I can type here, I want the final distance to be 5 meters. And the same works with the line. So here I have the stretch option as well. But bear in mind that the path palette changes depending on the kind of element that you select and where you click. So when I click on the end of the wall, I have the option to stretch. If I click on the middle of this line, I have the option to add a node or curve the edge by radius or curve the edge by tangent. So if I do the same with the wall, now I have the same options plus options to change the shape of the wall. So bear in mind that the path palette changes depending where you select. When you have more than one element, for instance on this wall, let's say I want to add another wall here. And now I want to offset this edge of the wall. And to do that, I'm going to select those two walls by holding the Shift key. And I'm going to click in one edge and I have the option to offset that edge. So I'm going to click here and I can offset by a distance that I want. I also have the option to offset all the edges of what I have selected. So I can type here 500 millimeters, so I can offset by 0.5 meter. But remember, if you don't select both walls, ArchiCAD is not going to give you the option to offset. So you kind of have to tell ArchiCAD what is your intention. If I want to stretch one by bringing the other together, you select them both and you can have this stretch together. Another function we're going to be using a lot is the drag function here from the path palette. So I'm going to click one element and I have the button here, drag. I'm going to click on it and now I'm moving or dragging this wall along and I can press D, type the distance, 1500, and I move 1500. A quicker way to access the drag is by using the shortcut Command D on the Mac or Control D on the Windows. So then I no longer need to click on the element, I can click anywhere else outside and I can type 1500 again. If you want to copy when you're dragging, all you have to do is to press the Option key on the Mac or the Control D on the Windows. So let's say here I'm going to use first Control D to start the dragging, and on the middle of the process I'm going to press Option on the Mac or Control on the Windows, and you can see next to my cursor a plus sign has appeared. And that means I'm no longer just dragging, I'm dragging and copying at the same time. So if I either type a distance or just click, I should get a copy of that wall. If you want to do multiple copies, you have to again start the drag process and on the middle of it, you press Option Command at the same time on the Mac or Control Alt at the same time on the Windows. And now you can notice that we have two plus signs. That means that I can do multiple copies. We're also going to be not just dragging, but rotating a lot. And again, I'm going to select one object, click on it again so the path palette shows up. And here the second button is the rotate. So I'm going to click on rotate. Now ArchiCAD is asking me where is the center point of the rotation, the first and the second point of the angle. So I can either click or I can also type the angle that I want. So in the middle of the process here, I'm going to type 15. So I'm rotating 15 degrees. And just like dragging, when you're rotating, if you press the Option key on the Mac or the Control key on the Windows, I'm no longer just rotating, I'm actually rotating and copying it. And again, if I press the Option and Command at the same time when rotating, or the Control and Alt, I can do multiple copies. We're also going to be using mirror quite a lot, and again, I'm going to select, let's say now 2 of those elements. I'm going to click in one of the edges, so the pet palette comes up. And here we have the third button, the option to mirror. So I'm going to click on mirror, and all I have to do is to choose the first and the second point of the mirror axis. And also, just like in drag and rotating, if in the mirror of the process I press the Option key or the Control key on the Windows, I can mirror copying it. So the tracker, the pet palette, the drag, rotate, and mirror functions are something that we're going to be using a lot. So go ahead and play a little bit and get familiar with those tools.